Gen Z apparently has crazy eyes scientifically. What's up with this?
It's not crazy eyes. It's described as a blank stare. So I'm so glad
Yes.
that our TikTok correspondent Melanie Mack is here to weigh
Yeah,
in.
right. Yeah,
I've
it's true.
been seeing this all
You've
over
seen it
TikTok.
all over TikTok. So that's what this article says. It says all over TikTok, you're getting these. I don't even know if I can do it, like a blank stare from Gen Zers. And they
Yeah.
are.
Wait a
and
minute.
they are-
Show. Hold on. I need to. Melanie, hold on. Let me. Can we
No,
see it?
what are you
What does it
doing?
look like?
No, I'm not going to do it.
No, Melanie. I'm asking Melanie. She's our TikTok correspondent.
Oh, yeah, let's hear
I'm
Melanie.
trying my best.
Yeah.
No, but basically, what they described is, and there's a lot of, even the Gen Z acknowledge that they do it. They'll do reenactments of like, oh, here's a Gen Z person who works at a clothing store and they're folding clothes and they're just like, and then someone will ask them, hey, can you help me find this? And they're like,
Oh, weird.
yeah, it's over there. And then it's just like this blank.
That's not a quirk. That's like a mental disorder.
It is, and it's also like not being properly socialized. It's like they don't know how to interact with other human beings. And so it's just really awkward. They just stand there with a blank stare, and there's no, oh, hi. I was wondering if it's just.
It's funny to me because
Over
that's what
there.
I think it is. Like, do you remember all the reports? Maybe you guys didn't follow so much, but after we all had to wear masks for a significant amount of time, there were reports
Yeah.
that toddlers were showing signs that they were having trouble understanding social cues and reading emotions because that time with like exposed face was not there for them to develop. But
Oh,
they
that's
interview a
interesting.
Gen Z person in this, and they're like, no, it's not that we don't know how to do it. It's that we don't care. We don't care the same way you guys do.
Oh, that's a very Gen Z answer.
It's so Gen Z. And it made me think of like when Europeans are like, Americans smile all the time. Like, it's kind of a weird criticism, but I really do feel like it's like they all are developing a set of bad social skills. Like, you don't have to be overly smiley. You don't have to be like, peppy, but like
Right.
the blank stares that I have seen, the clips of it, they don't look like you're like making an intentional choice. You look like you are short circuiting.
Well, I wonder how much of it's related to the high percentage of Gen Z on SSRIs.
That too.
I've seen some people who are on that SSRI train that have that 1,000-yard stare, which is what real people call it. Like, Gen Z is trying to like brand it as something cool. It's not.
Oh, no, it's
You're
not.
weird. You're weird. You're not cool. You're pumped full of SSRIs. You don't know how to make eye contact with people. It might have something to do with just literally staring at your cell phone.
That's what
I
I
mean-
think it is. More than SSRIs, I think it's just constant and obsessive screen time where you're like consuming information, but you're not engaging or interacting with anyone. So you could have a creator or, an influencer or whatever that's telling you a story and they're super animated, but you are not required to participate in that, which is like not the way our brains are wired. There's a reason that babies smile reflexively at people. Like the social hard that comes to it is important. And I think the dominance of screen time is really what's like, and the fact that you're seeing it with Gen Z, like they're not even the iPad babies of yesteryear. You know what I'm saying? I think like it's a sign of bad things to come if no one intervenes.
Right. And then you see posts I've seen posts on X, for example, of these Gen Zers who were talking about watching movies from like the 90s and so on and so forth. And they're like, wait, did people actually do this, or they only do this in movies where they have like house parties?
Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very real. And then there's this a lot of comments from Gen Zs that say, wow, I feel like they have FOMO. They're like, I feel like I missed out on a lot of socialization because this is such a foreign concept for us. Everybody's just staying at home.
There's that book, Bowling Alone, that a sociologist wrote, Putnam, talking about the fact that we have a collapse of communities. And I love talking to Jeremy about this because he's always like, yeah, I'm in a bowling league. I go to the bar. I've got this other club. Like, he is constantly doing things. But for the most part, most American adults don't, less and less, they participate in like a charitable organization or involved with a church or involved with a social group, or like their social spheres are very limited and I think in some ways are often replaced by the fake sense of being social that you get from like updates. Like I know like my dad will ask me like, oh, do you keep up with this person from high school? And I can say, oh, well, I saw that they got married on like that they posted something on Instagram, but like actually we don't have any connection is what that
right.
means.
Yeah.
I think that is the generation under millennials who have grown up even more so in that sphere are kind of waking up to the fact that they are essentially the most isolated that probably Americans have ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is, I don't think it's a joke. Like, I think that this is a sign that something is actually wrong with them. That, like, I know when I grew up, girls used to make fun of me because I wasn't, like, I'm still not great with eye contact. Like, I remember I would, like, when I was talking to, like, a pretty girl, I would look at the floor. I remember I got, like, scarred by this.
Normal, though, you know, like.
Well, it's not normal. Yeah. Well, there was this girl, let me tell you, she transformed me into Chad Jeremy. This one girl gave me 2 pieces of advice. She was like the hot older sister of a friend of mine. And she said something like, she was basically like, Jeremy, you're never going to get far if you always have to stare at the ground when you're talking to girls. And then she also taught me, fellas, cologne is meant to be discovered, not announced. These are like the 2 like most important tools that led me to repeat appearances on second base throughout middle school and high school because I had like a crush on a friend's older sister. And then like, she like told me like, dude, look at me in the eyes. Like, stop looking at the ground. And I think that like maybe nobody's telling Gen Z that too. Like they're just like, I think like Hannah Claire's idea that, you know, with the cell phone stuff, I actually think that there's probably real science behind that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like this idea, because you're not really focused on your phone when you're like, I don't know if you get like, you know, our resident TikTok expert, like you're not really focused on it.
Right.
You're just kind of looking at it.
Yeah.
And so maybe people carry that into, you know, their everyday interactions in life. And I think this is going to hurt them when they eventually have to go to like job interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, what is this weirdo? They can't even look at me.
Exactly. But I mean, things have changed so much to where you can do so many things just online. You can schedule appointments, you can order food, this, that, and the other, that you don't ever have to interact with other human beings hardly at all. And before Gen Z, it was like just every little thing. If you had to do, you applied for a job, you had to show up in person with a paper job application. You had to ask.
Remember that?
You
are you hiring? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Walking in
you
everywhere.
hiring?
Hey, you guys hiring? Well, you can fill out an application. And then everybody's application came up was the same, like they tore it off a pad. It was the same, like generic application everywhere.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, order pizza. You call them. There was no online ordering. There was you show up in person and you pick up your order. And making appointments, it's like you actually made phone calls, and so you had to interact with other human beings every single day just to function. And now you don't have to do that. The amount of times you actually have to interact with other humans is pretty rare.
Right. And you could make it as minimal as you want to. I mean, you could get your groceries delivered. You could work remotely. You could only communicate with people via text. I mean, I bet there are teens or young adults that hypothetically could go through, you know, a whole day, if not longer, without actually speaking with their voice to another person. And that's just so different. Even, you know, when people lived more rurally or when we didn't have the internet or whatever, like there would be times when people were not in huge social settings, but they still interacted with the people around them. But we have definitely increasingly shifted our focus away from like face-to-face interaction to screen-oriented interaction. I mean, even this job, like the 3 of us are able to do it because of the internet. I'm not saying I'm anti-internet. I just think that the Gen Z, it bothered me so much reading this quote where the guys, the Gen Z interviewed in the article is like, we just don't care. And it's like, so you're becoming a less empathetic, less emotional, like that's worse. I actually like that.
It is
less.
worse. Yeah.
That's why I think we're so susceptible to people being like, this is the most important cause. You better care about it right now, because they actually have they don't have to practice reading emotions in the moment. They just get assigned their emotional response.
Right.
Yeah.